are going to wait a couple of minutes. This is Talent You Should Know with your host, Zag, presented to you by 9 to 5 Brand Media. Today we are going to be interviewing Kevin Webb, who is the CEO of the Takeover group. So just stand by and we will get ready to start.
I hope you're here to have a good time. You wanna hold on tight, cause you're in for a wild ride. Let's go, let's go. I'm nice, I don't need to roll the dice. I need to raise the price, and no, I don't need your advice. I'm nice.
Become a master of the game, don't play around. It's not a hobby.
Yes, I'm too nice with the whip. Yes, I'm too nice with the drip. I'm nice and I'm fly as a flight. Money falling like Mike.
So look, let's talk. It's Kevin Webb.
Let's get it.
Group. So why don't we start off a little bit with just kind of your history. I know everyone probably, knows who you are, but, they might not know how you got started. I know, you went to Brooklyn Tech, you went to Baruch, and, that was really instrumental in kind of like how you got into this industry. But share a little bit more about that time.
Sure. You want to know a little bit more about the time when I was before I was into the music game?
Right. Like, how did it transition from from Baruch, and then you said, hey, how did that kind of merge together?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Baruch is a business college.
Mm-hmm.
So I always been interested in business, and I went to they had a black business center that I went to, and I kind of told them what I wanted to do, which was start a record label at first.
Right.
So they told me, I need to just go out and get to networking and get relationships and that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they recommended I start throwing parties. So I started throwing parties with some of my high school friends. And, I was using different DJs. Clue was one of the main DJs I was using, DJ Clue.
Right. So
I got cool with Clue from doing all these parties. And, I knew Fab from junior high school. Right. And also through a friend that was mutual. And I just made the connection with Clue and Fab, and it was history from there, really.
And that was that the kind of verses with Nori that he did in the studio?
Yeah, when he went up to do the freestyle with Nori on the Clue show. It took a minute for that to happen, but it happened finally. So.
And then that led to 17, 18 years that you were managing him?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, feel like forever. Yep.
Now, I don't know how many people know this. I feel like you have a really unique management style in that you don't use paper. It's just kind of like, my word is bond and bond is life, right?
Yeah, I get to understand it with the artists because, it's all about relationships. So, right. I send paperwork after a while, but that's not like really what I'm not heavily into just sending contracts out. I'm more into the relationships, Do you feel that puts more pressure on you to perform, or? Yeah, for sure. It definitely does. Mm-hmm. It definitely does. You know what I'm saying? Because you still have a contract, like it's a verbal situation. It's a verbal contract. Verbal contracts are valid too. So, yeah, it definitely makes me work a little harder. It makes me kind of, just kind of depend on the relationship more than the paper, Right. And I think sometimes that's where, you'll see a disconnect between like companies and management and their artists because they're not treating it like a relationship. They're treating it, like
how much money can you make me? And you just lost me money. So now is it worth it versus, hey, I see your potential. And that kind of leads me into the almost lack of artist development these days. It's more or less like, you have to come as a full package. So, I want to kind of transition into the takeover and how different that is really, because I think people come to you and maybe they have a complete package, but it's not as refined. And you have the ability to, as you call it, use your golden ear, right? and find out what exactly works for them. So how did you come up with the takeover, and tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Okay, cool, for sure. So the takeover is basically, me just brainstorming on how to penetrate the industry without having to rely on the record labels,
Right.
And kind of, enabling artists to direct their own career and use my resources, which, again, it's just who you know.
Mm-hmm.
I got a bunch of resources from the record labels anyway, so it's like I could use their departments,
right,
and help to kind of get these artists to the next level, because like you said, they have a lot of their stuff together already.
Right.
But it's just not, it needs that little bit more structure, a little bit more marketing strategy. So, that's what I bring to it. I have my own staff,
mm-hmm.
and I kind of take each individual artist, and, we go over their goals, and we go over, different steps that we need to take to get them to that next level.
Right.
So, it's been working out great.
So I noticed on the site, on the takeover site, there's some artists that we do know, some that we might not be familiar with. And so for those that we do know, right, and they've been out for a while, and maybe they have a certain narrative that they're known by, do you try to enhance that, what they're known by, or do you say, hey, this looks like it wasn't working for you? And how involved are they kind of with that transition? Do you get pushback? How does that work?
Yeah, every artist is different. So yeah, some artists are really open to just kind of letting me take the wheel, mm-hmm. and kind of letting me direct everything. And yeah, again, I would look at what's working for them if mm-hmm. they're an artist that's established, and then look at what's not working for them, and then I'll just advise them. It's like being a trusted advisor, and I'll tell them what I feel we should do. But right. At the end of the day, it's their career, and they decide. Right. And, some artists give me a little bit of pushback, but that's natural. A lot of artists are, kind of hard-headed in the end of the day, so.
They're sensitive about their shit. I know. That's...
They're sensitive about their brands, what I mean? So I can respect that, for sure.
So now going from, let's take it back when you left working with Fab and you were with a Boogie with the Hoodie. Now, yeah. I'm going to say this. I really, really, really like him, and I didn't know how much I was going to like him. And it was surprising because he loves it so much. Like, you can tell how much fun he's having and how much he enjoys it. Yeah. And I heard like a live performance, I think it was room service, and he was using auto-tune or what have you for that. And it brought me back to the time of T-Pain, when it was like, oh no one knows how to use auto-tune like T-Pain, but Boogie with the Hoodie, he did it so well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't even really mad at it. So I like how, I don't know how he started, but how did you get him, over the hump? Because it's obvious that there's a love there, but sometimes, a lot of people have love for music.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he definitely had the love, and he had some followers. His was more about structure. Mm-hmm. His I think what he was missing was just more structure, and just executing the strategy according to plan, just laying out the whole plan. But he had the music, he had the fans that were checking for him. His was all about structure and the steps to take. So once we put together that, and I kind of got him a good lawyer, a great entertainment lawyer. I got him I got him some dope directors to shoot his content, shoot his videos. It started to connect, and then he dropped his mixtape. The mixtape did super well, and then I was able to get him one of the biggest deals of that year, with Atlantic. So I already had relationships with Atlantic.
Right?
Yeah, so it worked out dope.
And that's really, kind of huge, especially when you go from having followers, on social media to them becoming like fans who are actually purchasing tickets and, buying your clothing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, when back in the late 90s, early 2000s, social media wasn't as big as it is now, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
And so what is it that you're teaching your team as far as how to utilize that, and what do you think are the strongest platforms for the music industry?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like right now, social media is everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you said, we didn't have that before.
Right.
So, like utilizing Instagram and TikTok. Super, TikTok is the new one that's really making people go viral.
Right.
And kind of, it's the kids. It's the kids on TikTok. Kids are making things go viral, so they have the power to say if you're gonna win or not. So I would say TikTok is the newest platform that's really winning, right now as far as marketing.
I see Instagram. I think they're trying to, do reels, maybe like compete with that a little bit. What do you think? You think that's gonna?
I think so. Because they did that Instagram. Remember, Instagram was just pictures, and then they took Vine. What was it? Vine. Vine was
yeah.
They took that, then they started doing video clips, and now they're doing Insta stories, and it's like they just got so much money and so much. Instagram is Facebook at the end of the day.
Right.
So I think Instagram will probably take that over.
Yeah.
I think so.
So you have your current project now is the Takeover World Order Volume 1. Right?
Takeover New World Order. Yep, Takeover New World Order Volume 1, exactly.
Volume 1. So on the Takeover site, it says, I think that, can you submit or request to, participate in the mixtape, or how does that work? I was.
Yeah, you set up a meeting to have a kind of a consultation. So through the consultation, we listen to the music and see if, that's something that we want to put on a mixtape with Self. I'm using different DJs, but Self, I'm so cool with Self. It's like he's just been the go-to DJ for me, but I probably end up using Clue, because Clue, that's another person I'm super cool with.
Yeah.
And they just set up appointments with me and my team. We listen to the music, kind of check their brand out, check their social media, and see if we want to move forward with it and working with them.
Got it. So another thing I know that, that we kind of touched on, you were saying that having a mentor and having a vision is super important, not just for an artist, but as a manager, and also, praying as well.
Big time.
So upcoming, you have the Revolt office hours, which is going to be amazing, and I think that's a huge opportunity for people who are trying to get on, and it's one of your strong suits there. So what do you think, since the time is so short, what do you think it's important that you get through to them?
I mean, really, each individual, it's different. But one of the main points, again, man, like I always try to stress, God.
Yeah.
Because I feel if I could get that, that's the most important. Like that's the benefit for everybody. So I kind of want to leave them with that. They kind of got to be structured in that respect. And let's say, you know, it might be something, and I really feel that's my purpose, is to kind of bring people closer to that. So, you know, just the belief in God and the communication with God, and then just making yourself as knowledgeable as possible, like, you know, reading up on what the new strategies are that the labels are using. So we don't have to use the label. We can kind of just see what's going on with music and, you know, take control of our own destiny. Like,
yeah,
you know, and but each person that's signing up is, you know, has a different path they need to take, I feel. So
right.
I'm gonna treat each individual as such, just like, you know, just try to direct them off of what they need.
Well, you mentioned labels, and I wanted to know what you think about the independent versus major label route, because I feel like people say, I'm going to be independent and I'm going to do this independent, and they might not realize, you know, how much work it goes into being independent.
Yeah.
I mean, on the other end of that is, if you can, when you're with, you know, a major label, that's a lot of your money for a lot of your work, right?
Yeah. Well, independent labels usually team up with the majors at the end of the day,
Right.
when their artist gets big enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I could use A Boogie as an example.
Right.
He was signed to Highbridge. Highbridge was the independent label.
Right.
And they linked up with Atlantic Records, and Atlantic Records just look at them as the bank, really.
Yeah.
They have all the money to kind of fund things that a smaller label couldn't do. And again, they have giant relationships with these streaming platforms, Spotify and Apple. They have the relationships. So I feel you only could become so big independent. Even
Right.
artists like they say that what's his name? Chance is independent, kind of, but he has a deal with Apple, so
Right.
it's still a situation he has. It's not like he's purely independent.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I feel all artists kind of lock in to a label that grow to that next level.
Right.
It's hard to go to that next level without. I don't really feel you can without locking in to a label. So,
let's talk about Deal or No Deal. I know that, you know, you've mentioned it a couple of times. I don't know much about it, so
gotcha.
Let us know.
Yeah, so Deal or No Deal is just pretty much an independent artist on stage, handpicked by me. Some of the independent artists are on the verge of getting a deal, and, you know, some independent artists are just super new, and they need that stage presence to kind of. It's like a practice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like practice. So what I'm doing is taking this Deal or No Deal showcase across the country,
right.
kind of just handpicking the best talent across the country, and just putting them with put them on stage and letting A&Rs and radio DJs kind of really see who's next, who's coming out of this independent lane next, you know.
And that, what I like about that, and what I like how it sounds, is that it's not like an American Idol, and it's not like a Rhythm and Flow where, you know, it's based off of, you know, maybe 3 or 4 people in the industry, but not a whole panel, not the whole kind of gamut.
Yeah.
So this is really, you know, kind of diving deep, which I'm sure that they'll appreciate.
Absolutely.
And when
I did this before.
Okay.
And it was just under a different name, but now I'm taking it more national. I'm taking it across the country.
And is there do you have a start date, or?
Yeah, I was gonna do the first one on Halloween. You asked me the start date.
Yeah.
I'm still locking in different dates across the country, so. But the first one is looking like it's gonna be on Halloween. But this COVID kind of throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, is this
So
something where people would have to maybe audition on, say, Zoom, and then, or is this you still want to keep this kind of like an in-person event?
yeah, it was gonna be all in person, really, just hand-picked artists. So we look at the artists. We look at their music, we look at their videos, their socials, and see, you know, um, see if they make sense, see if they're a fit.
Right. And what about those people who might not have a large following, but they're just super talented? Like they're,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure. We definitely look for them. We look for them too. If they're super dope, then having a following doesn't really throw you out of the race.
right.
It just helps.
So I like that. I've known you for a little bit, so I think that one of the things I've always liked about you is you've always been super positive and really, really like calm, like you rest in your faith a lot, right? And so you've always put God first, and I've really loved and respected that about you. And you've been in the industry so long, right? And so I know that you're going to say your faith, but how is it that you've managed to kind of like still be at the forefront this whole entire time? Like you say Webb, everyone knows who you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's really just having your relationships and kind of keeping them in a good space.
Mm-hmm.
So you could call on people to do favors if you need a favor, or people to pick up the phone for you when you need them to listen to an artist, or put an artist on the radio, or play an artist song on,
Right.
put a song on a playlist. So I would say it's mostly just nurturing your relationships, making sure, like, that me and you've been cool for super long, and you could call me up, and it's whatever.
It's
What I
whatever,
mean? You
right?
put stuff on my plate, I put stuff on your plate. It's all relationships, and the better the relationships you have,
Yeah.
it just helps you to stick around. You know what I mean? So people knew I was managing Fab. A mutual friend bought me a Boogie, just knowing that I had Fab. So
Right.
and then I bought a Boogie to Clue, and I bought a Boogie to Fab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they still take my calls. Fab did a song with them. Clue played them on the radio, interviewed them.
Mm-hmm.
Entertainment lawyers, some of the top entertainment lawyers I know, they took them on. People from CAA or ICM, these are
Right.
booking agencies. They took them on because I'm cool with them. So it's kind of like your relationships is everything.
So the takeover, are you going to stay strictly music? Are you going to, like musicians, do you think that you would expand to, like actors and things like that? Because I know you have DJs, and DJs kind of almost sell themselves in a way. And then you have the musicians, but what about, the other aspect of it?
Yeah, we have some influencers and some influencers like some of the influencers are actors by default too, because you know what I mean, they're on TV. They might be reality TV show individuals, but there's still some acting in that. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to get into acting. I definitely want to kind of start working with more actors and even artists, as far as painters and stuff like that. I want to kind of expand to all genres. Yeah, even in getting into politics.
Politics.
Oh yeah, even managing, even like being some people are asking me to be their campaign manager, and I'm looking forward to getting into that.
That would be interesting to see. That would be really interesting, because it's a departure from what you're doing now, but it really, at the end of the day, it's a fan base, right?
Exactly.
It's developing that fan base and developing that connection with the people, but it's also, keeping your word. And that's what's, important about politics.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. Politics, getting into acting, like I said, or managing actors, and of course, just keep pushing these artists. I got a new artist on Republic that I'm working with. His name is Day Lee. He's dropping an album on the 23rd of this month.
Okay.
So I'm excited. We working. We still working all these years. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And it's a blessing for sure.
So how do you think Kid Fresh would do, these days? For those of you who don't know, Kid Fresh is Webb's alter rap ego.
Yeah, that's my alter rap ego. Kid Fresh. Yeah, Kid Fresh would do real good these days, actually. Man, maybe I'll drop a project.
I mean, I'd buy it, right?
yeah. Maybe you got me thinking that. Maybe I drop a project just for fun. Legacy, sure. leave it in history. I don't know. I might need some writers and stuff though.
I mean, right. I mean, that's not uncommon, right?
Nah, I got writers to write for me. I actually spoke to somebody about writing me some stuff.
There we go.
But I didn't go through it because I don't want to look like I'm a joke. I might look like a joke.
Well, here's what you do. You have to start off like maybe in someone's video and just go, yeah, like real subtle. And then as it progresses, maybe just a few bars, like 2 videos in. Just suggestion.
Yeah, I might.
Well, I know that, you're busy. You just, got in. I appreciate you taking the time. I just wanted to make sure that we got the word out, not just about Revolt, but about Deal or No Deal, Takeover. And, keep in touch, man.
Oh, nah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Relationships, you know what I mean? I'm going to kick it with you about some stuff we probably could do together down the line, for sure.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'll talk to you in a few and have a good night. Enjoy your dinner.
All right. I appreciate you, Zach.
You too.
All right.
Bye.